Welcome back. We are jamming the likes today for our Ask the Author segment, and that's because we're diving into true crime and mysteries that happen right here in our backyard in Michigan. And here to be our guide through it all is Michigan author Michael Delaware. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Rochelle.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining us here today. And before we get into this story, Michael, I want you to tell us what inspired your story. What drew you to that true crime genre specifically?
Well, I've always been fascinated with history, and so I started taking a journey during COVID. I started doing a lot of YouTube videos, and that eventually emerged into a podcast.
Okay.
And I started doing a lot of research, and eventually I decided I had so much material that I wanted to start writing a book, and I consulted with some other authors that I'd met along the way, and I was kind of pointed in the direction of true crime as being a popular genre, and I really enjoyed it.
I was going to say, that's a lot of research to put into two different books that you have here. And speaking of your latest, Murder in Victorian Western Michigan, tell us, when people pick this book up, what are they going to find inside?
Well, there's 12 different stories. They're all from the 1800s, which is the Victorian era. And they're going to find stories in Grand Ledge. There's a story in Okemos. There are stories over in Berrien County, all the way over to Manistee. And there's a story in Kent County. They're all scattered around the western part of Michigan, taking through different time periods, you know, of the 1800s.
Yeah, and like you said, this took quite a few years. This is a long time in the making before you published this novel. But talk to us about how you went about fact-checking. And I know you mentioned a little bit already of the research, but what does that process look like when you are penning this all to paper? Well,
I do a lot of research looking through old newspapers to get the gist of the story, and then I start going through genealogy records. Go to the State of Michigan archives, look at the old prison records to find out what actually happened to the prisoner when they got sent to prison, and to get the complete story of what happened, you know. And not everybody who was charged and sent to prison for a crime at that time, I discovered in putting the stories together, were actually guilty. There's some of them that you leave the story with a question of whether they really did it or they got the right person, or that there may have been somebody else involved. And so it's kind of interesting when you start digging into these stories. You don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah, that's right. You don't know where it's going to take you, but it's great that I love hearing your passion for finding the answers that haven't been maybe answered just yet, but making sure that you're including that full picture, especially when you're putting that in a story. So now tell us also about Victorian Southwest Michigan too, because I know there's some mid-Michigan roots in there as well.
Yeah, there's a story from Jackson. There's several stories from Battle Creek in that book. The very first woman that ever was sent to the Michigan State Penitentiary, her story is told in that book. There's a total of 17 stories in the book, and it's quite a lot of interesting, dark history. So
that's a lot of information right here in this book. And what is it that you think really draws people to true crime?
I think the mystery of some part of it. I think the graphic nature of true crime in general. What puts people into that state of mind that they commit a crime and what leads them up to it, whether it's desperation or if it's an evil twist that somebody has. I think there's a fondness that people have for finding that out, you know?
Yeah, it's something about that kind of like psychological thriller that once you start, you can't you have to finish it, you know what I mean? You keep turning the page, you can't put the book down, and that's what makes these books so wonderful. And again, knowing all the research and the time it is that you spend into this book makes it even more exciting to read. Now, of course, if people want to get a chance to read these books, where can they find it?
Well, locally here in Lansing, one of my favorite places is Dead Time Stories.
It's right here, right around the corner.
Well, there's a lot of small bookstores have it around. New Story Books in Marshall has copies. Also in Albion, Sterling Books and Brew. So there's a lot of up in this region of the state that have copies of the book, and of course you can go to Barnes & Noble and get copies there too.
That's right. Well, awesome. Thank you so much for joining us here today and sharing this story and starting this conversation. But if you want to meet Michael and continue that conversation, you can find him at the Grand Ledge Craft Show this weekend as well. But thank you so much for joining us today.
Booth number 38.
Number 38. Gotcha. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right, and from the shelf to the